Morning team, it's me, your favourite, Jordan at Screen, and today I'm going to be trying something new. I'm going to be creating what I hope will become a long-running series called Feminism versus the Patriarchy, where, as the title would suggest, I compare feminism to the patriarchy and I let them do battle, as it were, or something, or whatever. Or maybe the title's just going to serve simply just for that, and I just discuss feminism. Or whatever. I don't know, who cares? Let's see where it goes. So today's episode, number 1, is titled Feminists Will Never Be Able to Defeat the Patriarchy. I figured, start simple and then work my way up. So let's get crack-a-lacking. Oh, and I'm going to be reading straight off the script. I've got a nice little essay written, and it's just going to be pretty much verbatim straight out. So my usual tactic of sitting like this, staring at a screen, is going to be replicated in its entirety. I hope you don't mind. Anyway, let's get going. It's something that won't sit well with feminists, the notion that their boogeyman is an insurmountable, undefeatable foe. Probably should be saying boogie person, be gender neutral, but oh well, they don't like men, so I think boogeyman is better. However, they will likely never stop in their endeavour to see this elusive yet overarching fiend dismantled. Please do excuse my juvenile crudeness, but the feminists have a real hard-on for dismantling the patriarchy. Their efforts would be valid if such a patriarchy existed and if it required dismantling. However, neither of these presuppositions are true. Firstly, we do not live in a patriarchy as they define it, but instead we do live, however, in a patriarchal society. Not that there is anything necessarily wrong with that. According to the London Feminist Network, patriarchy is the term used to describe the society in which we live today, characterized by current and historic unequal power relations between women and men, whereby women are systematically disadvantaged and oppressed. Informed viewers will be aware that the Istanbul Convention is essentially legislating into fact, as they're going to try and make it, the idea that we used to live under a patriarchy. They're trying to make patriarchal theory of history legislative fact. Because, feminists aren't totally about rewriting the history books to fit their agenda. No, of course they're not. I'm running away from the script a lot, so let's get back to it. The core assumption of this definition is that women are not in positions of power because they are refrained from doing so, that an outside force is preventing them from attaining the higher ranks, and this same force in turn promotes men and male success. As per the norm, feminists are viewing the world through the lens of external locus of control. Because, women can't have autonomy, except for when it suits their agenda. Instead, women are actually not held back from these positions of power or management. Sure, you see that there are very few women at the top of the pay scale, but that does not mean women necessarily are barricaded from the corridors of power and success. According to the Women in the Labour Market report, 33% of directors, managers and senior officials in occupations with the highest pay are female. Now, it hardly sounds like an effective patriarchy if women are allowed to share in the success. I would like to quickly add that this Women in the Labour Market report came from our very own Harriet Harman, who's a, obvious feminist. She's very in your face about it. She wore one of those lovely "this is what a feminist looks like" shirts. Anyway, back to the script. I would also like to quickly add that whilst feminists harp on about all the male Fortune 500 CEOs, that 72% of service users for homelessness accommodation are men, or homelessness accommodation projects in England are men. Just as there's few women at the top, there are few women at the bottom. It's almost as if women like hugging around the average. Not that we've ever seen that happen before in any other studies or surveys. No. I'm being sarcastic, we have seen that before. Feminists also fail to acknowledge why it is our society has grown to be patriarchal, while we see more men at work, more men at the top, more men in government, and more men making the decisions. It is because that is what has been required by society. Believe it or not, but men and women are sexually dimorphic, you might have noticed. And this affects not just our physiology, but our psychology as well. Just as the male body is better equipped for hard work, male upper body strength is greater than female upper body strength, men are better at visual spatial reasoning, so too is the female body equipped for baby making. Females naturally lactate from their mammary glands, and males do not. Women possess a uterus, and men do not. A female immune system is stronger, so as to ensure the survival of gestating young. Women tend to take a more cautious approach to spatial exploration, so as to avoid physical harm, while males have larger range sizes and often outperform females in navigation-related tasks, I should really say. During the millennia that have overseen the evolution and advancement of our species and society, it has been required of men to step up and do the work to facilitate our progression. As men worked, they too made political gains. They took the positions of power because they were required to do so. I'm just going to quickly scrub down on my script. These men historically held the power because it was needed of them. When times were tough and enemy clans were knocking at the door, the group would need strong male leaders to ward off invading forces, so as to ensure the survival of their own. Just as also when times were tough, they would also have to send the men out to fight other clans so as to take their resources. They could not risk the safety of the mothers and the children, as they are quite honestly key to the reproductive success and long-term survival of the group. Good luck ensuring reproductive success of a group if you have a very limited supply of females, especially considering how long it takes for us to gestate young and to raise them to sexual maturity. Quite a fucking long time, in case you hadn't noticed. Now, this mentality has maintained the notion that men go out and do the hard work, whilst women stay home where it's safe. The locations have changed, that is for sure, but the premise is still the same. We see more male MPs and more male Fortune 500 CEOs, not because patriarchy says so, but because the world of politics and the world of business attract and require those with masculine traits. You've probably heard feminists whinging about that. Women exhibit greater risk aversion than men, and women with higher levels of testosterone actually exhibit lower levels of risk aversion. The lion's den of the outside world, of the hunt, has evolved into the lion's den of the boardroom, or the houses of commons and lords. In fact, patriarchal societies are born as a survival mechanism to cope in an ever-competing world. In a research report from the University of Kent, the authors argue that intra-group competition caused female leaders, whereas inter-group competition causes male leaders. Businesses fall under the intergroup categories, as does politics. The authors speculate that, and I'm quoting now, such gendered leadership prototypes are a residual of human evolutionary history that still affects the way people evaluate and respond to leadership in society today. Compared with women, men adopt a more hierarchical leadership style, which is perhaps better suited to engage in intergroup aggression. So, in a competing intergroup world, hierarchy and structure, as well as the need for strong leadership, has overseen the rise of patriarchal societies. To further quote the authors again, whereas intergroup competition activated a male leadership prototype, intra-group competition elicited a female leadership prototype. The female candidate was rated better at fostering positive intra-group relations. And just exactly where is intra-group leadership best suited? That's right, the home and in local community groups. Now I'm going to slightly veer off from the script. Think especially of career women, the sorts who climb the ladder and get to the top, excel. Let's say in law, let's examine law. You've got this woman, she excels in university, she also did really well in school, gets a first, is hired as soon as she walks out the door, starts winning case after case after case in her firm, is made partner at 30. What do you think she does once she's reached that point? She's at the top of her game, she's in her 30s, she's a walking success. Do you know what she does? I'll tell you. She quits. And, you're going to like this bit, she raises a family. Now, there's a reason she does that, because she's realising that she's got to make a decision. And the decision is either she continues working these 80 hours a week, earning 300k plus a year, or more, who knows, or she settles down with her equally high-earning partner and has a family. Takes a huge pay cut in the process, obviously, and she's obviously going to choose the latter. Starts doing motherly things, gets involved in her local children's play group, joins the PTFA, joins the school council board, etc., etc. something where she can be involved in with her local community. We see it far and wide. Women dropping out of careers in their 30s because they can afford to, because they choose to. I mean, ask any social conservative or any decent upstanding person, what matters more in life? Work or family? Think of it like this. You've got someone on their deathbed. What do you think they're going to say? They're lying there. Ugh, I'm dying, please help me. Are they going to say, oh, I wish I'd spent more time in work, more time doing 9 to 5, doing overtime, punching the clocking card. I wish I'd closed those extra cases. I wished I chased those extra deals. Do you think they say that? Or do you think they say things like, oh, I wish I'd spent more time with my family, seeing my kids and my grandkids. I wish I'd been there more for you. I wish I'd gone on that holiday when we went to Brighton. I wish I could have been there the time you built that sandcastle. I wish I could have attended that party. Do you know what they go for? They go for the latter. They say, I wish I spent more time with the family. Because believe it or not, family matters more than work. I know, shock and fucking horror, family matters. Now, if only there was some evidence that I could cite saying what it is women want. What women want, what women want. Luckily I have this book here by Jeff Dench called What Women Want. My God, it's almost like as if I wrote this script. It's almost like I put this in there. This is a great book. Buy it, read it, it's fantastic. And as Jeff Dench comments from said book, drawing upon the data from the annual survey of British social attitudes, which is what the book is about, he says, there was a strong and reviving recognition of the value and appeal of the housewife role, and mothers who are able to spend at least part of their day looking after the home and children are more content with their lives than those who work full-time. Private realm concerns are in fact much more powerful among contemporary women than policymakers and their key advisors appear to understand. Oh my God, fuck me. The call of motherhood seems to be greater than the call of the fucking 9 to 5. Jesus Christ, who would have known this aside from, I don't know, fucking everybody ever? It would also appear that this slight memo has failed to reach the desks of feminism. Feminism seems to be about giving women choice, except for when the choices are, staying at home and raising some kids and being a mother. Who would have guessed? Anyway, I'm sidetracking. Back to the script. However, as feminists have pushed for more women in the workforce over the past 4 decades, we've seen more women leaving the home and entering the world of work. That's what happens. Ignoring some 50,000 years and more of sexual division of labour and maternal instincts, these women have entered the workplace and, lo and behold, are now suffering because of it. Dubbed the paradox of declining female happiness. Why the fuck they think it's a paradox, I don't know. Maybe they're retarded. But dubbed said paradox, women's happiness levels over the past 4 decades have decreased both absolutely and relatively to men's. And here's a good part. You're going to love this. You're going to love this a little bit. In fact, men's happiness levels have gone up. Curiously enough, it's almost like as if taking away a key integral part of someone's identity and completely fucking with it, giving them the direct opposite, it's almost like as if that depresses the shit out of them. Oh my God, who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? This is what happens when you listen to postmodernists and Marxists. They just fuck shit up. On an unrelated note, vote Corbyn. Hashtag feel the burn. Sorry, I'm being sardonic again. I'm being sardonic. Back to the script. Where am I? Where the fuck did I get? Speaking anecdotally, I don't know how many women I've spoken to or comments I've read online telling how a mother's heart was broken because she missed her child saying mummy for the first time. Feminists like to claim that the reason so many women work part-time is because they are being oppressed, or patriarchy, or some other nonsensical bullshit reason they can think of. Yet, they won't even consider the idea that maybe so many work part-time or flexible hours, which is apparently a fucking problem, but so many women do it so they can spend more time at home being... What's that buzzword feminists hate? That's right, mothers. Being part of the family, being integral. Feminists question this. What matters more, do you think, to women, to you? Pushing pencils or seeing your child's steps for the first time? I'll take answers in the comments section below. Needless to say, radical feminists will be like, no, it's all about work. And I'll address that in a moment. But there's a slight niggling point that I've not actually heavily addressed in my script, in fact, not at all, which is, hey, you're saying, women want to spend less time at work and more time, seeing their kids and seeing their first steps. What about the men's? And yes, you're right, believe it or not, more men also want to be spending time at home rather than at work. They feel the same fucking urges. And yet, here's the thing. Men, for all the millennia that we've been an active species where we've had this sexual division of labour, we've been making the choice that we will sacrifice those things to ensure that our survival, not our survival, our families are fed, that there's food on the table, clothes on the back, roof over our house, roof over our heads. I can words. That's our sacrifice. We show love to the family by providing. We are resource provisioners. That's what we do. We know that. You know, men feel good when they can work and provide for the ones they love. You know, that's a key part of their fucking identity. Why do you think so many men fucking kill themselves when they're made unemployed? Because they feel like as if they've got nothing to give. They feel like a burden. Anyway, that's a discussion for another video. I just wanted to address that point about what about to men's, as the meme is. And so, I'm going a little bit into that now with the first sentence. And so, just as men are happy at work supporting their families, so too are women happy at home raising their families by attempting to dismantle the patriarchy. What feminists are really doing is ruining the home and fracturing society. Feminists will never be able to defeat the patriarchy because, one, we do not live in one, and two, because the gender relations between men and women were not broken. They were not broken until feminism came along. Patriarchy isn't men oppressing women or holding power over women. No, patriarchy, as they seem to call it, is essentially a man out at work earning bread for his family with a loving wife at home raising their fucking kids. Like it has been ad infinitum. There's a reason society evolved to be that way because, one, that's how it fucking works, and two, that's how it fucking works. So, to any and all feminists, I say this. Just stop. You're not doing anyone any favours, and you are hurting the ones you claim to be empowering. But you're not going to listen to me because, one, I'm a patriarchal shitlord, and because I'm a fucking white male. No, I've got the words all the way around. I'm fucking a white male, as the quote seems to be. I worked myself up there, I did. I need to calm down when making these videos because I speak too damn fucking fast. So, before I go, I'm going to leave you with a quote, and that quote is from our favourite Germaine Greer, which is, "Women's liberation, if it abolishes the patriarchal family, will abolish a necessary substructure of the authoritarian state, and once that withers away, Marx will have come true willy-nilly. So let's get on with it." I'm going to go now. Something, here's my ending. Toodle pip.